Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, the Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you. Greetings! Welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. Today's topic is just do you. Just do you. Now I have Stephen joining me,
Hey.
Rodney,
Hey.
and Teron.
Hey.
All right, so just do you. So actually, I'm gonna let you open this topic up.
Okay. Just do you, family. Just pretty much, basically. I know sometimes in life, everybody we live our life sometimes through the eyes of others. You know, we take on their opinions, we take on their views, and sometimes we don't even really put what we see is best for us first because our mind is so noisy with the opinions of everybody else. And I think that eventually you gotta get to a point in your life as to where, all right, you got to do you, do what's best for you. And sometimes even for myself, I've seen it as to where I was at a stage in life as to where I was holding myself back, and I was taking on the opinions of the people that love me, right? And it didn't fit for me. And it took me a while to realize that, but my thought process was I didn't want to let them down, because I admire them, I respect them, my friends, whoever it is giving me the advice. But eventually I had to realize that, is that me? Is that for me? Is that best for me? And I think that everybody needs to sort of get themselves in the space as to where, if you do you, how happy would you be if you did you?
I think ever since we've been born, we've been getting the opinions of others. Ever since we can remember, we've been getting the opinions of, hey, you shouldn't wear that, or
Right.
your hair shouldn't look like that. Or, it's 2021, and they just passing a bill about hair in a workplace. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
So, we've been getting these opinions, and they've been instilled in us to, hey, before I do this, I gotta think about what people gonna think about this, or how this gonna look, or how they gonna feel about this. So that's been instilled in us a long time.
Yeah, and I think that is super key, because I think a lot of times we kind of shape our lives off of those things. Actually, you start thinking, you put limitations on yourself on what you can even accomplish based off of what's been told to you or what the advice given to you. And while especially recently, I found that it never hurts to hear the advice, but again, like we've been saying, you got to take what you need to apply to you, and also it's okay to take something and interpret it the way that you need to interpret it to get to where you want to be. It's okay for me to it's okay for you to tell me hey, that color is red, and I go, yeah, but I think I need a little more description, so I'll accept that that's red, but I need to call it fire hydrant red. That's all right. And so I think that's what it means to just be you, or just do you. It is to genuinely be able to step outside, to listen to the outside world, but also step outside and then step inside and go, well, what feels like me?
I like what you said too. It's not that you don't listen to the opinions of others. I listen to great advice from friends and family, and sometimes it's what you can take from that, and you know what? Okay, I'm gonna try this. If it works for me, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But sometimes you look at it like, all right, I don't know if that's gonna really flow with what I got going on. But you're not putting nobody's advice, or whatever they think is best their opinion. You're not putting it to the side or brushing it off.
Recently, I've been appreciating, like, I appreciate people's opinion, or when somebody takes the time to tell me something, because I started looking at it like, okay, if one of y'all at this table pull me aside and tell me something, or anything, at the very least, I know y'all love me and care about me. So if you could be saying the most wrong thing ever, but at the very least I know that you're saying it because you care about me. You know what I mean? So it's like that just gave me a whole new appreciation for people telling me stuff, or whatever the case may be, people's opinions. I can appreciate it in a different way because I understand that you took the time to tell me this because you love and care about me.
It's crazy. As we had that conversation the other day, and I told you, I think that's a very unique way of thinking, and it's one that's super powerful because, again, you're able to always look at somebody's intention, and you always focus on nothing but the positive intention behind it. And I think that is incredibly strong, and I think that it is it's probably a lot more beneficial. It's a lot more beneficial to feel that at the very least somebody is trying to, like, they're doing this because they love you, and it helps go into like making that shift of accepting. It's almost like you're removing that judgment of it. Like it's not a right or wrong thing for you. It's well, you're saying this because you love me. So now I can take it and I can apply it however it needs to, because at the very least, you're saying it because you love me. So I appreciate it when you said it then, I appreciate it now.
So when is like, so when have you realized like, okay, it's time for me to just do me? Because like you said, growing up, you get the opinions and views of everybody else, and you take it on as your own. But then you get to a point where it's like, okay, let me see what's best for me.
Like, for example, what I was just talking about, like my dad can call me and get on me, you ain't doing this and that, and he ain't necessarily coming from a standpoint that we talking about right here, so, but I can appreciate him taking the time out of his day to call me and say, hey, such, and I know his approach is 100% different, completely different than, what my approach would be to anything, so, but I can still appreciate that he took the time and called me, and I know he did that with the right intention. Like he did that because he loved me and he cared about what I got going on, But I mean, as far as just realizing I got to do me is just what we talk about here is like I realized that doing me is putting my focus on the things I do want, thinking about those things I do want, and not putting my attention on the things I don't want.
Yeah. I think that shift, it happened in different sectors for me at different periods. Like I remember growing up, I used to be like what people would define as a sick child or whatever. Not like a sick child, but like very sickly. Because nobody was calling me a little sick child. But like it was like there were a few health complications, and I remember just telling my mom, like, I don't want to go to the doctor anymore, and like, let me just try something this way. And I don't know what led her to just let me do it, but it was like, the minute I stopped feeling like I need these doctor's appointments were the minute I stopped needing the doctor's appointments. So that's what happened for me, like in the medical world. And then like in the workplace, it's the stories I tell you all the time, you need a job or whatever, of course everybody around you's like, hey, you need to apply here, apply there, well, you should think about doing this, you should think about doing that. And it was after I got my first career job or whatever. It lasted about 9 months, and the place ended up shutting down. And so, of course, like the next step is like, all right, you should file for unemployment so that way you have some money coming into you or whatever. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, yeah, I don't think that's it for me yet though. I was like, I don't know what it is. Like, and I remember like my mom getting like visibly like upset, like, you just need to do this. And I was like, yeah, but no, because that's gonna run out at a certain time and I don't think I want to do that yet. And I was like, it's gonna come, like, I just need a little time. And I remember like I kept trying to express like I just need a little time and I'm gonna get this. I just need a little time. And she again somehow just let go of the reins, and then I was like, this is what I need for me. Like that way won't work for me. This way will. So in the workplace it happened that way. And I guess mentally it happened as we've been doing this podcast. It was, I would think one way, especially when we first started. So when we first started, I would look at the podcast, especially when it was you and Diane. So I would look at it, I would watch it, sit there and record, understand what you're saying like in that moment. But the minute I would leave, I'm like, man, don't none of that apply to what I'm doing. And it wasn't, so yeah, I guess in that sense, that was me making that choice of like me trying to do it my way. And then it was like, but I also had my aunt here the whole time like, no, but look, I got you. Just try this and try this. And I was like, yeah, but no, that ain't it. And it was when I made that shift and I decided on my own that I wanted to make that shift that things started changing in that life for me as well. So I think it happened at different sectors, all different parts of my life.
I was lucky, I guess, because mine happened. I was either in the 3rd or 4th grade. I always get the 2 grades confused. I had the same teacher and the same same classmates. But it was either 3rd or 4th grade, and we had to, it was like a PTA meeting or parent-teacher conference, something like that, so we had to perform, sing in the choir, and so we had to wear a white top and a black skirt and black shoes. And my teacher was like, don't come in here raggedy, and, make sure your clothes are on, so she was like real feisty, and she was a really great teacher. But, so, of course, I really didn't own those things. I had a white shirt, but it was more like gray. It was just really dingy. It was too small, too. And I had a blue skirt, but it didn't have any hem in it. It was like kind of raggedy. And then the only shoes I had, they were made out of denim material. And then they had holes, like they tall. So like my toes would come out of those shoes. And so I was just like, I don't have anything to wear. So one of my neighbors was like, well, you can wear my clothes. And so when my mom came home from work, she was like, what are you wearing today? And I was like, oh, my friend is going to bring me something to wear. And my mom's like, no, she's not. You're going to get in there and you're going to find something to wear. And so I'm like, well, this is all I have. So she's like, okay, well, then you need to wash that dingy shirt and you're going to put a hem in that skirt. And you're just going to have to make do with those shoes, but you're going to wear,
Right.
And so I was just mortified. When my friend came with her pretty clothes, they was ironing out, each had these real cute shoes. And I was just like, my mama said, I got to wear my own stuff. So my stuff was hanging on the heater.
Yeah.
So it could dry. Oh, and I'm like, I gotta wear that or whatever. So I was like, my teacher's gonna be so mad when I come in there, and the kids, they gonna be laughing at me, and da 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 da. And I get to school. My teacher's just like, everybody looks so beautiful, and smile, and all the kids were happy, and we got up there and we sang our little hearts out for the parents, and everybody was all happy, and nobody commented on what I had on. And it was just positive feedback, all around, and I was just like, oh, so it really didn't matter.
Right.
What I had on was almost like you put your best foot forward, and that was all that was necessary. And my mom always would say that my mom would always say that she was from Mars.
Right.
And to this day, I mean, she might be, I don't know, because she still says But the point being that she will never do it the way everybody else does it. And so that's kind of like how, I was branded, so to speak. Like, I don't do it the way everybody else does it. And I learned at that early age to not even care that I wasn't doing it, because I learned that people accepted me just as I was. And so I presented just as I was. And yeah, so in a nutshell, but it's like, it seemed like I was telling somebody this today. But I tend to always take the first step by myself. So I always do things different from what other people, like I've never seen anybody do this before, but then I'll do it. And then everybody's like, oh, she doing that? Okay, well, I can try too. So I've always been that person that kind of go out ahead, and I'll be the one to get hit by a car. I mean, I never got hit by a car, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you know, another thing with doing you too is, you know how you can, let's just use the workplace for example, like you can have somebody, a coworker that you cool with, and they're like, oh no, don't fool with them, they nasty, and they this and that, and then you know, that might make you view them a certain way before you even interact with them.
Right.
And then when you interact with them, you're like, hey, they ain't bad, like, that's alright, you know. But I say that to say, like, people's opinions of things can stray you away before you even experience it for yourself.
That's true.
And I think that's usually what happens. We don't really know it. We don't realize it. But like everything, how we live our life is based on somebody's opinion. Someone has decided these things are good for you. These things are not. These things are dangerous. These things are out of your reach. These things aren't good enough for you. And you live your life, or we live our lives inside of this bubble that has already been kind of crafted for us. And a lot of times we get stuck right there in that bubble, never venturing out. And I think recently we talked about new experiences or whatever. And so that is a way to get out of the bubble. It's just being open to the new experiences.
Yeah, like how many things that we grew up and we was told that we got older, like, that's just not true. Like, that's just not, like, why did I think for all these years? I'm trying to think of a good example or something. But yeah, like, those things that were instilled in us, and we almost looked at those things as fact. Yeah, but they really just the opinions of whoever, you know, raised us or whatever the case may be, you know. But a lot of times, like you said, we get stuck and we don't think nothing outside of those things because we don't even think there's nothing outside of that.
Right.
Like, that's just what it is.
Right.
Like, this is how this works, and that's just the way it is. And we live our entire life like that. Well, hoping that's your entire life. But, you know, we live a portion of our life like that, like thinking this just how this is, and this is the way this is because my grandma told her that, and that just came all down, you know. So yeah.
Made me think about, I remember growing up, it was me and my little brother, and, you know, I was the one that I was semi-popular. I wasn't with the popular crowd, but I was semi-popular, you know. and my brother, so I listen, you know, hip-hop, rap, R&B, you know, everything that so-called typical black people would listen to, right? My brother, on the other hand, told he's the one that, you know, he's like skateboard P, if anybody knows Pharrell Williams. So, you know, he does the skateboards, he listens to rock and roll, dress totally different. So we two different people. My mom was like, why you dressing like that? You need to be like your brother. You know, this is what, and it's like, hold up, wait a minute. So now in my adulthood, I'm like, I appreciate the fact that he was just himself. And like, and so that's what it taught me, like, it's alright to be yourself and to be who, you know, to be who you want to be, whatever aligns with you, go with the flow. But it took me a while. Now I think about it, I'm like, dang, I'm out here thinking that how you perceive things to be, that's the way that I should be. So
yeah, and I think I don't know. I think even when I look at like how I was trying to live my life very early on, the idea was like, oh, you know, you go to school, then you leave from school, you go to college, and then you go from college, you get a job, and then you get a job, and then, you know, you pay on your student loans, and that's kind of life. And I was like, yeah, but where's the excitement happening in all of this? Like we got this path, but like what happens after that? And then it became, you know, I remember being in high school, and I just knew that I wasn't ready to work yet, but I also didn't really want to go to school, so I was like, man, I need to find a different option. So of course, I tried the military, and you know, it didn't work out for better or worse because I was allergic to peanuts, and I was like, you know. But I say all that to say, you know, like that was just like the path I thought I had to live. I thought I needed to go to school, and then I needed to try and find something that was going to be considered a stable life. And I don't know, it's like the idea of stability to me was never stable. Like that's what it is. You got to live the way you want to live because you define the things that you want to define the way that you do. So the idea of what most people saw as stability to me was like stagnant, and I never wanted it because I knew I was never going to enjoy it because it's like, well, what's next? I was always going to be left with like, oh, this is it. And so I think that is also another moment where I decided I need to like be me.
I think, like for myself, I know, like when we talk about opinions of others, I would think I'm doing me, but I really would get wrapped up in the opinions because I'm trying to prove these opinions wrong, or like, so I had got to a point like when I had came home, hadn't finished school, and it's like all this chatter about what I need to be doing, this and that, and I got into a mode like, y'all counting me out, like I gotta prove like y'all crazy. It's me still. Right. Like, so I got into a mode where it's like I gotta prove these people wrong and these opinions wrong. But in that, I wasn't enjoying me, you know, because I was thinking I'm doing me and thinking I'm figuring it out, but I was really moving by those opinions and trying to prove them wrong.
One of my girlfriends said something similar to that. She was saying that like her mom tended to be a little more, I guess, prim and proper than my girlfriend. And so I guess her mom would like, you know, maybe things like you need to wear white gloves. And maybe not to that extreme, but, you know, but like kind of like in that vein. And my girlfriend would almost do things almost in defiance. Like things she probably would have done, but because she know her mama wanted her to do it, then she would kind of do something different. And so when her mom passed, and you know she's just, you know, going through like just really thinking about everything, and she's just like, you know, she spent so much time trying to do things opposite of what her mom wanted, that she didn't realize that every single thing she did was because of her mom still, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's why I say you can get wrapped up thinking you're doing you, but you're really still moving by, you know, to the beat of somebody else's drum, really. Yeah. It's a good time.
And I think a lot of times when we think about the opinions of others, we're concerned about people judging us, judging us as wrong, judging us as not good enough, judging us as, you know, not cute enough, not black enough, not smart enough, or whatever. And so a lot of times that does control, because nobody wants to be thought of as not enough, right? And so that in itself will cause us to dress a certain way and to act a certain, you know, as they say, people wear masks every day, and, you know, and then you forget who you really are. Like, you don't wear this mask for so long or whatever. But just one is, it's just so important that we really do get in touch with our inner, like who we really are, and align with that, and get aligned and stay aligned. And two, to recognize that if someone is judging you, it's because they're not good with themselves as well. And, you know, just from experience, I know that the more I love me, the more I love you. And the less judgmental I am of myself, the less I'm going to judge you. And so people who are judging you the harshest are the people who are also judging themselves the harshest. And so rather than one, I guess, be upset with them, or two, beat yourself up about it, just recognize, okay, well, they're not fully aligned with themselves, and in order for this to be causing me some type of distress, I'm not fully aligned with myself, and so just to get in alignment.
Now, when I'm in alignment, none of that stuff matters.
Mhm.
Like,
No.
when you really think about it, like when you really think about your higher self, do it really matter what these people talking about or anything? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
All right, well, thank you for this topic, Stephen. All right, thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to chatting with you again next week. Until then, this is our bet.
Steve.
Right.
It's wrong.
Bye.